Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a deck profile, the first one of 2024. And this is one, of course, is going to be BT14. And this is a very fun one. The key card for this one is Dorbickmon, which I'll talk about in a little bit more. But this is essentially a Dorbickmon deck whose whole deal is to try to draw all of the correct pieces for it and then essentially attack with multiple checks into your opponent and then finish them off very quickly. So this deck is meant to be very fast. It's meant to finish off your opponent within one turn. It's an OTK deck, and it's very easy to use. And if you're a new player, it's it very much teaches you how strong Digi Crossing can be. And this deck definitely abuses the hell out of Digi Crossing. Dorbickmon is known for doing that. So let's get started. So we start off with 4 Digimon. We do not run any other eggs because all we're going to run is Growlmons as our rookies. Well, we are going to run other rookies, but there's a bigger advantage that you get to draw with Growlmon with this deck. So you want to draw as much as possible, and you want to draw the right pieces. You want to get dinosaurs and you want to get dragons. Digimon draws a card when you have a Growlmon. And some of the Growlmon cards will draw a card as well. For example, the promo Growlmon over here, we run 4 of them. If you have the GG with the Growlmon and he swings, no matter what, whether it dies or not, you get to draw 2 cards and look for more of the pieces that you need for you to win the game. And that's going to be a common occurrence. You're going to be drawing 2 cards for either memory or when attacking or whatnot. We also run 4 of the rush gaining Growlmon. It does evolve off a Digimon for free. And this is meant to be a Growlmon that you can Digivolve into Digimon 4, of course, so that if you swing it, that you can draw. But simultaneously, there might be a point in the game in which both you and your opponent may have in your trash 20 or more. This Digimon gains Rush, so you could potentially just play it and swing immediately if it's that point in the game. So Growlmon here has kind of double duty. And we do run Growlmon X Antibody, so if you need to, if you have this guy out, you can go X Antibody form for free. I do run 3 of them in this deck, and it can go in either of the Growlmons for free to help you draw, and deletes 3k or less when digivolving. I try to use it specifically on this one because this one just draws 1 when attacking. So if you digivolve onto the Growlmon X, then you lose that ability. But otherwise, you can just, if you don't have anything, you could just go straight into it from the Digimon, which is good. Next, I run 2 of the Agumon. So one of the biggest things with the Dorbickmon was that since it checks multiple cards, there's a good chance that it will swing into something that's very strong and die just checking security, aside from security options, of course. And sometimes having the DP is actually really important. So Agumon is here because he can actually become part of the Dorbickmon stack. So it could be a card that you can have in your hand, and it's a dinosaur, so it goes into the Dorbick stack and gets plus 2k when swinging. Sometimes that could be a big difference maker. Of course, if you need to digivolve on top of the Digimon, you can do that. It has that flexibility, and flexibility is very important with Dorbickmon decks. So this Agumon is here for that double duty, if you will, plus 2k, digivolve on top of Digimon, red, so on and so forth. We run 2 of the Greymon plus 1 check. He's part of the stack potentially, so I'll show you a potential stack later in a little bit. But this is one of the dinosaurs that you want to use with Dorbickmon. The cool thing is, if you happen to pick up both, you could digivolve. If you have a red rookie alive, you can digivolve into the Greymon and keep the other Greymon for later. Or, I mean, you might need a couple Dorbickmon sometimes, so maybe you just keep it in hand. It doesn't matter. Again, you have flexibility, right? You have that flexibility. Black Growlmon. So this one, it's a dragon, so it does count towards it. It's another card that can digivolve on top of Growlmon. When digivolving, you try to top 2 cards of both players. That could potentially make a difference. That could make Growlmon Rusher be able to trigger, or even do some of the later cards that we're going to show you here. And then it lets you return a Gallantmon, Growlmon, or Growlmon. So you can recycle a Growlmon or Growlmon if you want to with the black Growlmon off of that. So it's very, very good ability. Also on deletion, it has that ability to return a Growlmon, or Gallantmon from your trash to your hand. So again, a card does double duty. It's a dragon, and it can recycle cards. It can trash cards. It does all of those things for you. This is one that you gotta kind of big brain sometimes. Next we have Growlmon X Antibody. Are Growlmons in this deck? Digivolving for free is big because you get that free draw. So we go ahead and do that with this Growlmon. It also, of course, counts as a dragon, of which you can add 1000 DP. I'm sorry, yeah, 1000 maximum DP to the DP choosing deletion effects, which happens a lot, actually, as a matter of fact. With this deck, it happens a lot. Having that under there can be helpful. It can help you reach some of the magic numbers that work better. So another card that can go in there. We have 2 Growlmons. I would run more if I felt like it was a balanced thing to do, but I don't feel like it is. But this Growlmon Digivolves for 2, but more important than anything, it's the ability. Dorbickmon on play kills a Digimon, and we'll talk more about that when I get to Dorbickmon. Growlmon gains 1 memory whenever you delete, so you can play the Dorbick. Growlmon will be under it, and then trigger the on-play ability of Dorbickmon, and you'll gain 1 memory, essentially making playing Dorbickmon 1 memory cheaper, which is obviously very nice. So Growlmon is kind of key, and I think if you were to bump that up a couple to 1 more, I think that would be perfectly fine with that Growlmon. I do like that Growlmon for that ability. I run 1 Burning Greymon. Sometimes I just find myself with Tamers, but no Digimon able to swing. Burning Greymon's there almost like a Blitz Omni in order as well to be able to swing. And I don't run Blitz Omni here, but I'd be surprised if somebody doesn't. Like you could probably run an Omnimon Blitz in this deck and be okay, right? Once Dorbickmon's done checking cards, maybe it can't swing again, so you use the Omnimon with the Blitz to unsuspend and swing again, possibly. Voltramon, another dragon that can go into Dorbickmon. This is just check +1. There are going to be multiple cards that give you security check +1. That's the whole point of this deck. Master Tyrannomon, again, also security +1. And you only run 2 of each one of these because you want to have... Dorbickmon must have different ones. You can't have a Dorbickmon with 2 Mastermons under it, for example. That's not possible. You're not going to be able to do that. You have to play different numbered cards. Therefore, we have all of these different cards here. Same for Jasarichmon. If it has an on-play effect, it gets security check +1. Dorbickmon does have an on-play effect, and again, this is another dragon that counts as that. It can digivolve from red, so you could potentially go into any of these 3 dragons off of your red dinosaur or dragon cards. So again, you have that flexibility. If you just happen to not draw up Dorbickmon, you can still kind of digivolve and do things like that. That's possible. Flexibility. Majramon. So this is a card that obviously it's blue. It cannot digivolve from red. This one is strictly for Dorbickmon, and it has a very good ability to take advantage of it. It says, if your opponent has no Digimon with the illusion cards in play, unsuspend this Digimon. So if you went ahead and popped your opponent's Digimon with Dorbickmon's effect, then that means that Dorbickmon's stack might be able to actually unsuspend and finish off your opponent. So Dorbickmon can get all of those security checks from those cards, and then unsuspend and then swing for game potentially. Or just early in the game, maybe check multiple cards by unsuspending and swing again. Really depends a little bit on the board state, right? But Majramon can't. I mean, it doesn't have that flexibility, but it has a very good inherited ability under it. Next, of course, you have to run 4 of the Dorbickmon. Dorbickmon does gain Rush, so literally when you play it, it's supposed to swing. 12k, which is not super strong. Again, this card doesn't have inherent protection when checking in security. So even though you can get that big old stack of, let's say, for example, you have Greymon, you have Master Tyrannomon, you have Voltramon, and you have Jasarichmon, let's say, for example, which would give you 5 checks on your opponent's cards, you're still swinging for 12k. That's not very high. So sometimes if you have the Agumon dinosaur with +2k to get you a 14, that's pretty good. Or sometimes there might be some abilities, which we'll take a look at later with the Tamers, that might help you in that regard. So again, Dorbickmon could be swinging into security, checking multiple cards, but if your opponent just happens to have something very strong in security, you might die, and we do not like that, of course. So part of the game is also, of course, making sure that Dorbickmon survives through all of the checks, and then that you have that ability to check one more time to defeat your opponent. So that's the 4 Dorbickmons. Of course, they also have the on-play ability to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3k or less. But for each card with Dragon in its traits in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, you may add 2,000 DP to the maximum DP you can choose with this effect. So if you have 4 dragons, you can add 8,000 DP to that 2,000. You can pop something that's 10,000. And if you have your Growlmon X antibody, then you can do an additional 1K. And if you have regular Growlmon, you can do you can gain 1 memory for that pop, so making your Dorbickmon cheaper. Again, this has a limit of only up to 5 Digimon that can be crossed. Each one reduces it by 2, meaning you're playing this card for 3. But if you have Growlmon and you kill something, your opponent has something on the board, you're playing Dorbickmon for 2, which might be key. Sometimes it allows you to not pass turn, right? So a lot of those things can make a difference here. But Dorbickmon, the big boss of this deck, the big key, you want to be looking for it when you are searching, drawing, right? You want to have this card in your hand, plop it down, multiple checks on your opponent, GG's, right? Of course, sometimes it gets later into the game and maybe Dorbickmon couldn't do the job. You still have Gallantmon. If it's late in the game, Dorbickmon keeps dying and you have all of these cards in your trash, Gallantmon might be able to come out for free if you have nothing on the board. It could pop something, and of course it has Rush, meaning it can swing immediately. Sometimes you might just need that. Sometimes you have nothing on the board, but there's 30 cards in trash. Gallantmon comes out, kills if blocked if there is one, and swings for game. That's something that can happen, and something that hopefully I've come across a lot that situation. That's why I run that Gallantmon there, and this card can work in any deck that works like that, really, and especially here in this deck where a lot of cards go to the trash. I run 1 hero. He's a memory setter and also gives you plus 2k DP, which, like I mentioned, that DP could be useful. Dorbickmon swinging for 12 is not a very safe situation. Between Agumon and hero, you'd be good. We run 3 of the ties, which gives security check plus 1, meaning you can get 5 swings with Dorbickmon, even if you only have 4 sources on there. So sometimes you might need to pay more for Dorbickmon. Maybe you have everything, but maybe that tie will make a difference, right? It could happen. I run 1 of the DP increase tie. There's no color restriction. Just all your Digimon gain plus 1,000 DP. And that could be a big difference maker. Sometimes your Guilmon might survive and maybe you can get a second swing out of it, right? Sometimes you just need to swing a little bit stronger than what you have. And this tie drops for 2. It's cheap enough that if you don't have any of the other Tamers, Dorbickmon can still swing for 13. And there are many cards that are 12k that you want to... it's a bit of a magic number. There's a lot of cards that are 12k, big boss monsters and other decks that you might be able to get around with if you have tie, right? So sometimes it might be safe to run this DP increasing tie. We run 3 red memory boost. Again, very big key of this deck is that you need to find your pieces, specifically Dorbickmon. If you do not have it, red memory boost searches 4 cards, and if you see it, you take it, and you wait for the rest of the cards if you don't already have them, right? Fireball. We run 3 fireballs. They pop 3k or draw 2 if there's nothing on the board killed by that deletion. Really good card. 2 draws for the price of 2. I love putting this card down turn 1, right? To draw 2 cards, just immediately get some cards in your hand. It's a really good one. If your opponent checks security, instant security, and they have no small Digimon, you get to draw 2 cards and maybe get closer to your to the game here. I also run 3 Heroes of the Skies. Heroes of the Skies is actually very flexible, which is why I like it in this deck. It can either give you security plus 1 to one of your Digimon, maybe just don't happen to have that extra security check that you need. You can use Heroes of the Sky for that. Or alternatively, you can just draw 2 cards, just like Fireball would do. This has pretty good flexibility in this deck. I wish it would trigger off security, but no, it goes to your hand, so you do have to use the 2 memory if you want to pop this off. But a well-placed used Heroes of the Skies is very good. And again, drawing is never a bad thing. We have Fireball, we have Heroes of the Skies, we have Guilmon with Digimon, all these cards that draw cards, because you do need to draw them, because playing Dorbickmon does not draw cards, right? So if you got all 5, you just lost 5 cards that were in your hand. No replacement, no Digivolution draw. You need that draw power. You want to get the pieces, right? And of course, if you play something like security control, then you better hope that you get some delicate plans. I run one. I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing to run two, but there's just so little space. I think one delicate plan works pretty well. You're gonna hopefully you're drawing so much that delicate plan just if you need it comes up. Um, you know, a key card in certain situations. If you're playing security control, especially, or cards that are known or decks that are known for having a lot of security bombs, delicate plan can make that difference and keep you safe. So I sometimes I forget that I have delicate plan in my hand, and I just swing and check into an option that I should have just delicate plan for. Please don't be that person. Use delicate plan. If you have the memory, if you have the one, use delicate plan. Keep it safe. Keep it simple. Keep it safe. Right. So that is the Dorbickmon deck profile. It is very fun. I'm not gonna lie. It is not a big brain, let's call it. It is definitely very basic, very easy to run. If you're new to the game, you're absolutely gonna have fun with it. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and have a good one. Peace.